Okay, good evening, sirs, moms, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. It's me, Dale Vincent, also known as Corporal COVID. So many of you will have known and seen over the last about a 3-week period, I was ragged from my home. I am now homeless. I'm living in the veterans camp in Bath in England. What a bloody experience. So here's to an update on the whole scenario because as many will be aware now, I sat in front of 3 psychiatric nurses, 2 of them very seasoned doctors, okay, and it was one of the worst days of my life. I shat myself. Only because, and we're conditioned to think this way. Me and a friend were speaking before I went to court the other day. Both knew that I was going to lose the case, but we're conditioned to think this way because what's wrong with justice? Am I a criminal? Have I done anything wrong? Debatable, right? I know. Unfortunately, this has a loss of credibility within the community for me. So what, to summarize to the audience, is there was about a 40 police operation and they raided my house and 20 at each. They came in, I didn't see a warrant, so I asked to see a warrant. They were refused, okay? Now, a bailiff is carrying out a repossession order. That is a civil matter, which means the police shouldn't be there. And there's actually lots of case law now where people are actually starting to sue the police because they're not entitled to get involved with civil matters. Police should be for criminal, okay? The police entered my home. Now, I seen the bailiffs coming down my stairs. So I run downstairs and I open the door, okay? I tried to do it diplomatically, okay? Now, I opened the front door. I said, listen, troops, I have an appeal in. Now, for those of you unaware, right, the due process is from the part where you're arrested all the way up to you've been to trial and you've been found guilty or not guilty. And then you have your punishment. You have some form of discipline. You'll go to jail or you'll have a fine or etc. Community service, you know what I mean? So that is the due process. Now, a judge, so I claim to have paid my house with a promissory note. Now, at this moment in time, I lost the receipt. Now, that is the golden rule that I was taught. When you're dealing with promissory notes, you must keep the receipt. Unfortunately, my admin's up my hoop and I lost it, okay? Now, because I lost it, I said, well, as a matter of fact, the first time that I went to court, I mentioned the UCC 1308. The judge dismissed it. And then when I mentioned the promissory note, I said, well, Your Honour, I've paid my mortgage with a promissory note. He said, you should have mentioned that earlier. Now, I'm a veteran, okay? I've served 14 years in the Royal Welsh Fusiliers. I'm decorated, okay? I've had awards on and off the battlefield. I was always one of the stronger members of my platoon. That judge didn't give a shit. He wanted me, another homeless vet. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with James O'Keefe, please go and watch his documentary, Line in the Sand. Now, President Trump claims that the reason that they promote this kind of illegal behavior and then punish the veterans is to weaken countries. Now, that's not my words. To destabilize a nation. That's his words. Now, remembering he's the president. Now, I will tell you guys. Sorry, the dog's just popped up. I love this dog. I will tell you guys. Now, I was ragged out of my home. They didn't show me a warrant. It was Sergeant Geraint Rees, okay, the guy that I have submitted his crimes, to the King's Bench. So for him to be IC of my op, that's a massive conflict of interest. Kind of feels like revenge, guys, doesn't it? You know, I've made this guy viral for being either incompetent or complicit in the crime. Now, when you come from a professional background, as I do, there is no in-between. Sergeant Geraint Rees came to my home. I asked for another senior. He said, no, you're not having another senior. I said, I'm a veteran. I got PTSD. I need time for my medications. You're not getting any time. They ragged me out in my boxes. They put hands on me, guys. Now, a lot of people, right, have shown their true colours. I've got to be honest. Before I start slagging people off, let me just say, this has been the most humbling experience of my life. This has been insane, right? They kept me for a 31-hour period. They tried to section me under the Mental Health Act because they were winding me up about my dogs. Now, for those of you that know me know, I love animals, especially my dogs. Now, I've had a friend recently and his dog has just been taken off him and it's been impounded by the police for an 18-month period. Now, I'm aware of these dirty tactics and they were winding me up about my dogs going to a pound. So I became, you know, I may have said some things, but again, in my defense, we've all now seen, or the video's gone viral, of when they arrested me and I'm sat in the back of the police car, right? The police car takes off. Within a 30-second period after the police car takes off, they take over my animals to my friends. My friends were outside my house, right? I'm grateful that they wasn't inside my house because we'll get to that in a moment. But they did the handover takeoff with my animals. Now, the police still had me think, right, for a 12-hour period that my dogs were getting impounded. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even the police that told me. It was the nurse, because I was going bonkers in that cell. Because, again, I have had it confirmed in a court of law, as per Lord Denning's ruling, that the promissory note is as legal tender. Now, a lot of people, I won't name and shame, right? But a lot of people are saying, oh, you're above the law, you can't do this, you can't do that. What do you think you pay with? What do you think the fiat currency that you use is? Have a look at it. Promise to pay the bearer. It is a promissory note. Now, there are terms and conditions that have to be met, right? I have sent the promissory note over to my team. They have it. Now, the drama is, the first time that I went to court, the judge wouldn't allow me to mention the promissory note. Okay? Now, when I'm now going to court, the fight is I haven't paid with a promissory note. The fight is I'm appealing a decision. Right? Because that's lawfare, guys. Now, it's not as simple as I've got the receipt, the house is mine, because now I've had to appeal this guy's decision. But because we submitted this, the appeals process, or an order to set aside a judgment as it is, which isn't an appeal, we found out the other day. This is what I mean, guys. The lawfare is off the chain. You can't fathom. Moving forward, right, let's keep it simple. I won't tell you my plans for the future, but you know, we can achieve such a great life, and it's very, very Billy Basics. Anyway, moving back to the eviction. So I appealed a judge's decision. I have the email, right? I appealed a judge's decision. Now, until that appeal has been met, they shouldn't have launched on my house. Because again, I haven't had a fair due process if I haven't had an appeal, which is a violation of Article 6 of the ECHR. Every man and woman has the right to a fair trial, a fair due process. Mine has obviously been violated. Now, I've recently come across, because my content is going out online and people are always reaching out to me. Recently, we've had 4 new experts on. I have to stop calling them my legal team. I've been made aware because it weakens my case. So they're my friends that give me legal advice, right? Fast learner. Now, these guys are very excited about my case. These guys claim that we could potentially create case law. Now, guys, I'll be honest with you. This is way above my pay grade. This is way. In my opinion, lawyers are word whores. Because, again, so for example, the last time that we went to court, right, apparently they're not allowed to rag vulnerable people like myself out of their homes. They're not allowed to do it. As per the Mental Health Breathing Space Act, right? Now, I learned of this last week. This is something that my legal family have give me advice on. So I submitted it. Now, the judge didn't know, and the prosecution didn't know, so they had to call a recess. Now, I don't know much about lawfare. I know a little, but I don't know it all. Now, my legal guys reckon that that's great, because if they were clearly, highly competent in subject matter, they wouldn't have to call a recess. For example, if I'm teaching you the section battle drills, there's no way that I'd have to call a recess. I mean, if I was a fucking bottom third Rev Crowbag, then maybe go and have a fag break while I go through my notes. But the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, we don't need to do that, man. We're top level, we're top tier. But because the courtroom isn't my battlefield. Yeah? So I'm well out of my comfort zone when these guys are arguing with their words. Basically, the defense wrong, the prosecution came back out and said, well, this doesn't apply because Mr. Vincent isn't having treatment. Now, that's not entirely true. However, the judge ruled for it. Now, that is where my legal team reckon that they've made their first error. And it's a serious one. And again, guys, I'm a far better soldier than I am lawyer, because when I joined the army, I used to look at my section commander. I was a 16-year-old boy, right? I joined the infantry training school in Catterick, right? And I used to look at my full screw and I used to think, I want to be that man. Warren Alley, we had Rushy. The guy'd been shot in Operation Telek. The guy's giving you stories, and that's what I mean. It's got that panache. When you've actually been zigzagging and then you're teaching how to zigzag, you're paying attention, putting pens out. So I come from good stock. But a soldier's job, even with a soldier, you're always learning. But with the lawfare, you cannot digest it in 3 lifetimes. Their law, this nonsense law, common law, is very buckshy. So that's why that's why I'm not spending 20 hours a day digesting this law, because I just know. But it doesn't matter, because really feels like the universe is coming together. And, well, as I've said, my guys reckon now that our appeal that has to be done in a 14, 15-day process, because you got 21 days, and it was the other day, so I don't know. Again, I've never felt so, like, since I've been ragged out of my house, honestly, I haven't done... People are fucking cooking for me, you know, honestly, it's been the most humbling experience of my life. Honestly, it's really shown me how loved I am. And I even have, like, my friends, so when I first left the military, December 2020, straight into Convid, I was doing this kind of work, like going down the police station and beasting police, and my friends were begging me, some friends were begging me not to do it, and now they critique me instead. And one of their critiques was, I need to stop being a scruff bag. And well, as a matter of fact, this kit, these guys should have bought it for me. You know, look, I've even got the cufflinks in, mate. Lone Wolf. Ow! But yes, I do take some things on that are relevant. Unfortunately, not giving it the Charlie Big Spuds, but a lot of, for example, I guess a lot of you have seen I've been critiqued for my slur of slagging a soldier off. And this individual thinks that that's more important than our community getting poisoned, our children getting poisoned, and this soldier not doing his bloody job. He is a hazard, and people are more concerned about my hurty words. That's where we're at. That's where we're at, sirs, ma'ams. Honestly, this has been the best thing to happen to me because it's upset so many soldiers. I have been trying to get soldiers on board with our government being hideous little creatures for years. And after I was ragged out of my home in my boxes the other day by a sergeant that I submitted, everybody can clearly see it. I do a video of this guy, and it is... I even said to Sergeant Geraint Rees, 4477 of South Wales Police, I said, Sarge, I've just done that video now, right? Why don't we wipe the slate clean? Why don't you do your job, take the affidavit to Dr. Francis Boyle? He said no. I said, I don't want to upload this video because it's making my community look weak. It's not just embarrassing for you, it's embarrassing for me. You're my policeman. And look how shit you are. No, he said. So then I've got to expose it. I've got to upload it, and I've got to show everybody how incompetent, unprofessional, well, in my opinion, complicit. And I've got one of my dickhead mates, as of yesterday, I still have my dickhead soldier mates like, well, you must have been complicit. This is the difference between me and you, prick. Right? Whilst I was sat in the guard room, nobody came up to me, knocked on the front gate and said, listen, buddy, I don't know who you are, but I require your signature because I am submitting this to you. Now, that's one example. Now, these guys know that I've mentioned the affidavit of Dr. Francis Boyle. I talk about it all the time. And that's just one. And I've had my soldiers like, he's a clown. What do you mean he's a clown? He's a professor of international law. He's the author of the NBC Act, Nuclear, Chemical, Biological Warfare. You soldiers are so slow, right? They've allowed you to grow beards now, yes? Why do we not allow beards in the army? No shouting out. 1, uniformity. What's the second reason? What's the most important reason, troops? NBC. That's the reason that you have to shave. NBC. Why are they allowing all the army guys now to grow beards? 'Cause you missed the NBC attack. You fucking moron. And then I've got, I should be naming and shaming blokes, but I'm trying to be better. But it's very difficult for me not to hate you, because here's the problem. Civvies that are watching this, the majority of you, that will slag me off in the comments, you are just noise. Your opinion means nothing to me. Look, and I mean this in the nicest possible way. My job as a section commander in the infantry is to win world wars. That's what my DS taught me on Junior Brecon. Yes or no? What is a world war? Countries fighting against each other. How do they achieve that? What does it boil down to? Section attacks. It boils down to the full screw and his assault and pay. Roger Dodger. That's what it boils down to, mate. That's the full screw's job, to win world wars. And if I do say so myself, I am an extremely effective member, battlefield asset. I've made tens of millions of people aware of the affidavit to Dr. Francis Boyle. So in his opinion, I'm a hero. Now, he's dead now, God rest his soul. Apparently, he was suicided before going to court to give a testimony. And I mean, there's evidence of people getting suicided. Go and watch Dr. Stephen Greer's Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, troops. Sorry for gobbing off and elaborating. I waffle. I was ragged out of my house in my boxers. They wouldn't allow me to submit anything. They wouldn't allow me to show them that I've got an appeal in. They said, no, we don't care, right? Now, my Doberman, he peed in my kitchen, and I put him in the crate. I honestly believe that was the work of the angels. People will think I'm nuts. I think the majority of you are nuts, so, swings and roundabouts. But I do believe that was the work of the divine. Because if that Doberman was not in that cage, them coppers would have put hands on me. The Doberman would have escalated it. The police would have escalated it, and I would have matched their level of aggression. And it would have been a bloodbath. And I'm glad it wasn't, because I don't want to hurt nobody, but people do need discipline. People do need discipline. Soldiers ignoring the affidavit of Dr. Francis Boyle, woo! I would love to have a field promotion and have you crowbags work under me instead of going to jail. Because Colchester, you should obviously go, because, again, if you're presented with a threat and you are silent, you are aiding and abetting. Go and read a book. You are complicit in the crime. The crime being the violations of the Geneva Convention and Nuremberg Code. Whoopsie. And like you can't, with a claymore, you're not entitled to put a claymore on trip, yes or no. Why? Because it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. You're not allowed to destroy an enemy force unless it's worst case scenario with the red phosphorus. Why? Geneva Convention. You're not allowed to ignore affidavit of Francis Boyle. You guys, honestly, you're going to be in serious trouble unless you get a move on. We can't say, hello, beautiful girl. We can't say that the military are not involved. Look, we're still able to post content like this now. We are winning the war. And my honest thinking process would have been better to shut this right down. But again, to an extent, yes, but to truly win the hearts and minds of the people, this has to be done organically. The more organically people come to the conclusions that our government have been infiltrated, and they are unfortunately belligerent and compromised. You know, Klaus Schwab even says they've penetrated the world's cabinets. What does that mean? In your own words, what do you think that means? They wrote it. I've had soldiers say it's a conspiracy. They wrote it in the fucking Georgia Guidestones. They wanted 500 million useless eaters. That's what they call us. Useless eaters. 500 million of us by 2030. And they've failed miserably. I believe now with this, every bank in the world has to be ISO 220 compliant the 22nd of this month. I reckon that's going to be the start of the redistribution of wealth. You know, so I'm optimistic about change. As you can see, I'm in this veterans camp. I love it down here. Unfortunately, I am separate from my dogs. There are a lot of animals on this farm, a lot of dogs. Unfortunately, I can't bring my animals here. I've only seen my dogs once in the past 3 weeks. Broke my heart, made me cry. My border collie went absolutely bonkers. I felt absolutely terrible. You know? But these are sacrifices, you know, these are, as Steve, my Marine friend, Steve Forsyth, explains it. You know, he says, you know what you signed up for, Vince. And unfortunately, we had to give these criminals the opportunity to expose themselves. And it's true. It's you know, this is the way that it had to be. It had to be this way. That you know, unfortunately, these guys are criminal. And this is, you know, this is the way that it had to be done. So, I am alright though, guys. I am. My morale is high. I mean, I've been fucking snapped. I spewed 4 times last week. It was nearly 5. You know, because this has been a lot. It's been a lot of, it's been stressful. It's been more stressful on my family and my loved ones. You know, my father now, as I mentioned earlier, he's not taking his oils and stuff anymore now because he doesn't believe. I seen him a fortnight ago and he's deteriorated something terrible. You know, he looked like he was having a bloody stroke. You know, he's unfortunately had the jab. You know, you have to be looking after your immune system. You have to be giving your immune system the tools it requires to stop the spike protein replication from within the body. But yes, my father was deteriorating. You know, the bail conditions have stopped me going into my home. Mark Sexton, former police officer, many of you are aware. He rang me up when he seen my he seen my content, and he said, Vince, they haven't really made you homeless, the bail conditions. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, bro, I'm not allowed to go home. I'm not allowed to go to my dad's house. He said, I've never seen anybody treated that bad in his entire policing career. They don't call me Corporal COVID for nothing. You know, I am the most heavily censored man in Wales. I don't know anybody as censored as I. As of yet, let me know in the comments if you know anybody. You know, I know that there are many, but geez, they hate. And you know what I've realised? They hate the veterans. They hate the veterans. My scenario isn't the worst one down in this bloody camp. You know, there are veterans in this camp in worse scenarios than I. Some guys, you know, as you can see by the cap badges behind me, there are some very special individuals here, right? And some of these special individuals. I've done a 22-year stint in the for Queen and Country in the British Army, but they've also got, family abroad, and they've gone out for a bit, and then they've come back here and they've been denied fucking treatment, mate. And these guys are sick and fucking dying and all sorts of shit. I've only lost Bakshi. It's not Bakshi, it's a home. They didn't even give me my gong bags. They didn't even give me my poncho, bro. They threw me out in my boxer shorts. Yeah, unbelievable. But so here's the thing. I was extremely disappointed and I was screaming at the police. I was telling the police how I was gutted that I didn't exercise my lawful legal right and turn them into pink mist. Because they were winding me up in the police car, see. I was like, well, what's going to happen with my dogs? Like, are they going to go to the pound? And one copper said, well, you should have fucking listened, shouldn't you, but? And then I was like, they wouldn't give me time for my medication. I was like, you threatening me with my fire? Wasn't my best moment. It's going to look terrible if it gets to court and they play that. But these guys were winding me up. They shouldn't be fucking mentally tormenting a veteran like that. Fuck me, I go through enough. Without these guys fucking pretending, and again, they knew that wasn't the case. Because at this moment in time, my dogs were already handed over to my friends. So they lied. They done that to torture me. And the police wouldn't tell me. It was the fucking nurse. Because I was marching up and down the fucking thing and I was fucking losing my mind. Because they shouldn't have launched. Again, I submitted an appeal. Now, as many of you know, I went to court last Monday and lost. I've been told we're winning the next one. I don't fucking know anymore, right, guys? I'm over the houses as well, right? I don't give a shit. I have something money can't buy, right? The way I've been treated, it's been the most humbling experience of my life. Soon as I was released out of the back of the riot van, there were people that seen me. I was on Facebook. James come to pick me up. People were bringing me weed. People were giving me money. People were giving me places to stay. Lobes took me home. Fucking fed me, mate. Seen all the boys. It's really showed me how loved I am. I am fucking loved within my community, and I'm so grateful for you guys. Because 5 years ago, everybody hated what I was doing. But now everybody's encouraging me to continue. It's amazing. And I was very upset when I was released from the police station. And I was ready to go back to my house and take it back. Because, again, I've got the receipts. I've got everything. And I could, right? And again, I'm sure you guys have seen the Blade Runner. He put a call out. There's many men, many men want to come and help Chen. Roger. They want to come down, lawfully regain that house. But if we can do it in a court of law, it will be so much more effective. And we're minimizing collateral damage, and I don't want collateral damage. I fucking hate collateral damage. I fucking hate fighting. Now, I'm obviously willing to die for things I believe in and standing up for my rights, etc. But I don't, I'm not a fighter. I'm a warrior, obviously, but I don't like fighting. I've done enough fighting to last me fucking 10 lifetimes. The good news, they tried to section me, right? So everything that I mentioned to you guys, has been confirmed. It's been authenticated by 3 psychiatric nurses. The one younger lady, she was like the head person of the Royal Glamorgan. My tie's just a little bit out. Can't complain. I've had this entire fucking thing bought for me. Oh! But yeah, I sat in front of the 3 of them, and they questioned me. And I went in and they said, you're either going to walk out of here today, or you're going to walk out of here, but you've got to come back for an appointment, or you're staying. And I was like, oh, shit. Shit, mate. I was flapping. The truth of the matter is, I was gifted with 3 good doctors on that day. 3 honest, good doctors. As I've explained, you know, none of them knew psilocybin. None of them knew neurogenesis. None of them knew the endocannabinoid system. They didn't understand the due process. The one gentleman Indian guy, he said, hey, Mr. Vincent, you're not paying your mortgage. It's very simple. And you've struck a police officer with your conspiracy. I said, sir, with all due respect, are you familiar with Dr. Francis Boyle? None of them were. I said, sir, you can't be calling him a conspiracy if you've not read his content. And I didn't share that because I know how mental it sounds when you say vaccine, biological weapon. People go, cuckoo, and you just lose people. But I didn't do that. I said, look, I'm not going to tell. I said, I agree with what he's saying, but I said, I'm not even going to tell you the content. I said, that's up to you. But that is irrelevant. If I honestly believe, it's the same as Card Alpha, Section 24 of PACE, and I had 2 coppers outside, and I was teaching them on the way down as well. And I said to the doctors, I said, sir, you can go and confirm this with the police that I've been teaching outside. Card Alpha, 24 of PACE, exactly the same. If I honestly believe that that man is about to use lethal force, I can shoot him straight in the face. Bang, bang. It's exactly the same as if I'm going to do a citizen's arrest. If I honestly believe that you're going to commit a crime, I obviously can't double tap you in the face, but I can use reasonable, proportionate and necessary force to stop you, to detain you, and then the only thing you do is you ring up the police and then you give a handover takeover to the police. And that's what I done. And I explained to him, I said, sir, you can go and watch the video of my citizen's arrest of RPC 693 of Avon and Somerset Constabulary. It is DS solution. I use very minimal force. I hardly touched the guy. You know, I'm not out here to fucking hurt anybody. But I am out here to protect my community. And a lot of people are starting to see that now. But this is a real serious threat if you're taking on the cabal. You know, my community members think that I've lost it now because the bank, I've got a constant patrol on in the front and back garden. But again, you can go and have a look on my profile. I've tagged the guys, Trevor, Meeland and Ted. Exact same scenario. They've challenged their banks. They're not criminals. Trevor, when they arrested Trevor, he had a bloody heart attack. He's an old bloody man. He had a heart attack when they arrested Trevor. And Sergeant Geraint Rees, I'm telling you now, you were lucky, my friend, because I was considering pink mist. I was considering becoming an infanteer, executing my lawful legal right and protecting myself. And you, mate, are lucky that I didn't do that. Because I see straight through you, Sergeant Geraint Rees. You are nothing. You are a weak individual. Well, look at you. You are nothing, mate. And I'm glad. I'm glad that it's happened this way. Because we are... Look, I don't know whether I'm going to win that house back or not. I don't know, is the honest answer. And honestly, I don't care, guys. The community are more concerned about that property than me. Now, it's hurt me that I can't care for my dad, you know, and I've got some glinkers, right? Honestly, guys, you should be fucking embarrassed and ashamed of yourselves. Some of you are parents and you're like, how's your weed diploma now, mate? Now you're on the streets. Honest to fucking God, mugs. I am a selfless man that would give my life for any single member of my community, any day of the week. You know, I haven't been getting paid since I've been out of the army for 5 years, and I'm still trying to help my community members. Still, because I love my community. I love my country, and I will never, ever, ever stop. I will never stop loving you, even the individuals that continue to dislike me and dishonor and try to discredit the work that I'm doing. Fucking people gobbing off, what are you jabbing into? Claiming that I'm a junkie. Honestly, embarrassing. What do you do for your community? You know, there's so much critiquing, not a lot of doing. That's why we've currently got a suicide epidemic in kids. And I know of people, you may not know, you know, as many people as me. That's fine. But I know how sad people are at the moment. I know how people are struggling at the moment. I know, because people don't understand their endocannabinoid system, they won't take RSO. I was down in this veteran camp the other day explaining how psilocybin is the answer to Alzheimer's, and his mother's got Alzheimer's, and he burst out into tears. One of the veterans down here, and I apologized. I said, bro, I'm so sorry. He burst out into tears because your words are so powerful. And I speak the truth, mate. And, you know, even though, you know, I apologize that my words hurt him, but they hurt him because he knows I speak the truth, and the truth isn't, you know, I have integrity, and we're not seeing it now. We're not seeing dementia patients or any patients with any sort of neurological damage. We're not seeing them go on lion mane or psilocybin. Now ask yourself why. Because they know this. They know it creates neurogenesis. I've got a recording. I went and seen a doctor on Monday, just gone. And he doesn't understand everything that we've spoke of. They actually issued me Valium for the first time in 5 years. So they got me on a drug that I liked and again, it's big pharma. It's nothing to do on psilocybin, but again, because they've taken my phones and they've raided my house, unfortunately, I haven't got all my assets at my disposal anymore. So I've had to go and take diazepam. Now, I said to the doctor, I said, look, sir, I prefer you didn't give me diazepam. I said, I prefer the psilocybin, but I said, I know you won't do that because it costs. And you call it a grey area. It's not grey, it's black and white. It isn't addictive like diazepam. It doesn't have toxic side effects like diazepam does. It isn't anti-opioid. It isn't anti-alcoholism like psilocybin is. You know, there is a reason, guys. And I think we're starting to see it now. But the main point to take away from this content I want everybody to take away is, I went and sat in front of 3 psychiatric nurses, and they said, look, they said, we see that you suffer with PTSD. They said, your fucking head is absolutely racing. And we suggest that you don't do this work anymore. And I said, Mom, I absolutely agree with you. My mind is racing. And I am very angry and sad. And I said, but what kind of guy would I be? Do you think that I'd be able to heal? Just take time off when I know that my country and community are fucking rotting? You know, what kind of individual does that? So I said, unfortunately, Mom, I'm using my psilocybin that she told me that she was going to read up on, but she didn't have a clue. Same detail with the cannabis. She said, you know, you've clearly done your research. Thank you, Mom. But they let me go. They didn't even say that I needed to go back down there for any more appointments. The truth of the matter is, right, not many people, like when I seen this doctor on Monday, I'm giving him the scenario and he's like, but I've never heard of the stuff that you're talking about. How are they going to help me with my problems when I'm talking about things that they don't understand? You know, every time I speak to these people, they say, wow, you need like a specialist. I think I'm just fully aware of the war that's currently ongoing, and I believe we're coming close to the end, troops. I do. I hope. I beg. I pray. Right, that's enough from me. So yes, I'm down at the veterans camp in Bath. Absolutely love it here. I love what these guys are doing. Looking after fucking vets. I had so many people that would allow me to stay with them in South Wales, obviously, but because of the heat, nobody wanted me to use their addresses, my bail condition. And Casey, you know, my legal family, she said, ring Joe. And that's exactly what I done. I rang down Joe and Dion, and they said, that's what we're here for. You get your stuff and you fucking get down here. So I'm currently down. Yeah, I got a bed space, living out of bags. Not ideal, you know. It's actually fucking, it's worsened my mental health. But I'm surrounded by other great minds, which is nice, you know, because it's not all doom and gloom. But yes, guys. I love you all. Look at this view. Look at this view here. Look at that. Beautiful, isn't it? So yes, guys, stay healthy. I shall be, I'm trying to be better on social media, trying to win more hearts and minds of the people. The unfortunate truth of the matter is, I'm just so fucking sad. You know, I seen that 100-year-old veteran the other day crying, and it fucking snapped me. And my soldiers are like, oh, how is it our fault, Vince? Well, it's your fault because you didn't act on the evidence that you was submitted years ago. Because if we'd have removed that rot from the command structure, then we'd be carry on normal jogging now. But you failed that. You are unfortunately a hazard to our communities, and you unfortunately need to be removed or disciplined is what I would love to do with you guys, because you guys are assets, even though you're not half, not even 10th the soldier I am. I've made tens of millions of people aware of the affidavit of Dr. Francis Boyle, and some of you pricks haven't even fucking read it. You know, so there are obviously levels of being a soldier. I have people, for example, come up to me semi-regularly when I come down this camp, mate. Fans, straight away. Other veterans. When I went on that fucking march in London, I had about 1,000 fucking people come up to me, mate. Selfies, handshakes. Oh my God, Corporal COVID, I love you. Because I have potentially saved tens of millions of lives. And if my regiment, if I was still in the fucking serving in the fucking military, this war would be over. Because I would have got my section, I would have debriefed them, and I would have said, listen, guys, nobody is above the law. It is our job to make sure our communities are safe. If our one-up denies this, we are entitled to discipline him. It is that simple. And you go straight to your one-up and say, boss, what are you going to do about that? You're either for or against. And I would just keep going until all the rot were removed. And we lived in peace and harmony, happy ever after. In a perfect world. But unfortunately, we have forgotten soldiers, it is. You've forgotten. Well, the other thing is, as John Sheen taught me the other day, I love John Sheen. Many soldiers respect my work that are out of the military, but soldiers inside the army, you don't like it. Because Stockholm Syndrome and cognitive dissonance. You know, it's hard for you to digest the level of the severity of the damage out here because you're still plugged into the matrix, as it were. But soon as you essentially leave and you see with your own eyes, oh my God. You know, soon as you understand that cancer, for example, some experts claim that it is a vitamin deficiency. Not me. I'm not a scientist. I'm a fucking infantier. So yes, guys, educate yourselves. As always, listen, I've gone to 3 psychiatric nurses. Here I am, not sectioned. I speak the truth. Yes, sometimes I say hurty words that upset people. I apologize, okay? We're all men and women. We're not perfect. None of us are God, okay? But yeah, don't critique so much on naughty words. Let's start giving a fuck about, you know, corruption. And it's not so bad, you know. It's not as if these guys are stealing money. These guys wanted 500 million useless eaters left by 2030. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're smart enough to know that now. Go and read the comments. The majority know the truth. We have won this war. The majority know the truth. We have truly won the hearts and minds of the majority. So I'm going to keep it under an hour. There's 55. I love you all. Stay healthy. I'm all right. Pray for my legal guys. Because again, it's fucking well above my pay grade. But if we can achieve this, case law, it could be massive. It could be massive. It could be massive. Right, I love you all. Look at that, mate. Look at that, man. Roger!